If only one school walks out, it's easy to ignore. A dozen walk out, it becomes a headline. If hundreds of schools coordinate, it becomes a crisis. If thousands of high schools, colleges, and universities act together on the same day across the country, it becomes a demonstration of real power.
I'm officially sick. Okay, so yesterday I went to cover a protest by students at Florida Atlantic University. This was part of a growing nationwide movement called Students Rise Up that is seeing student bodies, student organizations, and faculty organizations in solidarity conduct walkouts and other tactics to pressure their institutions to fight against the Trump administration, but also its ICE expansion that we see creeping more and more into schools. For example, like last week, I went to a high school walkout as well that were protesting the same things. So this is not strictly a college thing, but all types of schools are participating. It was nice getting to ask some questions and see how students have been feeling about the rise of authoritarianism in the country. And shortly I will be playing some speeches and some interviews, mostly interviews that I got during the protest. FAU is particularly interesting to cover because they were the first university in the nation to have the campus police department sign the 287G agreement with ICE, which deputizes police to handle immigration enforcement tasks that have been proven to be discriminatory, violent, and immoral. So I went to interview students and faculty participating in Wednesday's walkout, sending a message to their school president to rescind 287G. You are about to hear from the people at FAU. Afterwards, I will talk about a few issues mentioned by those I talked to, such as context for 287G, the attempted censoring of a professor on campus, FAU's connection to GEO Group, one of the largest for-profit prison corporations in the world, and more, I'm sure. So here are the interviews and speeches.
Yeah, so what's your name and what brought you out here?
My name is Paola. What really brought me out here was just trying to feel like I can create some type of change, if not in like for our national coverage, at least in like our local community. And I've always had a hard time kind of like battling with like feeling like I can't do anything and have no power in all this. So I just had to start somewhere, and I started to kind of really educate myself in like what's going on in the student government politics and like which parties actually assisting the facilitating this awareness of ICE on our campus, the 287G bill and all of that. So once I started hearing about all that, I was like, okay, I can start here.
How'd you hear about the protest? Online or?
I think the initial was like about a year ago. I think it was like just kind of like a talk in the air, QR code. And then I started talking to Nick on the Paradise Party, and he helped educate me a lot on like what's going on.
And why do you think that the FAU police department signed 287G?
I mean, obviously, we know that it's not really like the individual police that have that much of a say. It's more of like the leaders in that kind of department, and as well as just kind of our ties to with our governor and our president and the board of trustees and everything. They it's Florida, it's South Florida. Like we are not a blue, like we're somewhat blue, but all of Florida is pretty much red. So it's pretty obvious, honestly.
Do you think that police in general exist for public safety or something else?
I think they are very much not a proactive measure. They are in some way of a preventative measure, but I don't think that it really benefits taking people either out of like the criminal like systems and jails and prisons. I think if anything, it kind of just expedites putting more people in there and not really creating any type of purposeful change in an individual's life. And I think that is pretty useless. So I would say that it's kind of just progresses a vicious cycle of violence, police violence, and then, and also in regards to marginalized communities, so there's usually a main kind of demographic of the people that they're putting, behind bars and putting and incarcerating in general.
Yeah. The student government passed a resolution calling on the university to rescind 287G. Do you think that the student government has enough power to force the university to concede?
I really hope so. I really hope so. I'm not a very optimistic person. I'm just doing what I can, but I really hope so. I haven't followed up on the Senate debate and how that went with the questions for the police chief guys, so I have no idea how that went.
What do you think it's gonna take to kick ICE off campus, if not?
Just a real campus-wide, community-wide in Boca awareness of the general vicious, violent rhetoric towards immigrants, and that needs to be made aware and find some type of solidarity between people who are the majority on this campus, not because it's usually the voices of the people who are not in the majority that are actually in power, especially with the demographics of this school.
Yeah. Last question. So I know that Socialist Alternative and Student Rise Up are planning on campus to not just have this protest, but as an escalation sort of tactic, bit by bit, get bigger and bigger.
Yes.
What do you think about this tactic, and do you think it'll work?
I think it will work because bit by bit we will have more awareness. Is that the good side? Yeah, get the good side.
Yeah.
ICE murders.
No, it's okay.
No. What were you saying?
No, you answered my question. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, I asked you about the escalating actions and stuff like that.
And little by little, I think there will be a progressive change if more people, little by little, will be aware of to have a stance on something.
Yeah.
Don't stand for nothing.
Exactly.
Who are you if you stand for nothing? Or just stand with the people around you. Confirm, look at other people's perspectives, and then look at your own and just reflect.
Yeah.
And you'll come to a good conclusion eventually if you just reflect. On G.
Well, thank you, Paula, for talking to me. What's your name and what inspired you to come out here today?
My name is Rue DeMornay, and to be honest, I've always had a particularly radical opinion regarding ICE and the operations of ICE. I guess that just finding out that there are actually students on FAU that are active about this issue and want to change this issue kind of perpetuated me to actually being here today and showing my support.
How'd you hear about the protest?
I initially caught wind of it through a flyer that someone handed me, but I got some more information as I joined the Solidarity group at FAU. So that kind of got me more informed about the event.
Okay. What do you think about campus police partnering with ICE through the 287G agreement?
I think that it's a horrible decision. I think that ICE alone is a very harmful administration, and to partner with a policing force is just going to double the damage that they've already caused.
Why do you think that they signed it, the police?
For those decisions, I'd say that it's not completely reflective of the police forces itself. I'd say that it's reflective of higher administration. And I think that the partnership has to do with political affiliations and biases. And just kind of I guess in a simple way, I believe that the administrative forces behind these police forces that are partnering have a bias towards the cause that ICE seems to be campaigning for.
Gotcha. So you think it's like a political connection with the right-wing, administration of the state, trying to force different police departments into falling in line with the ICE?
Definitely. I will also say that there are, of course, people within the task force who are of support of ICE's proceedings, which should be viewed with criticism as well. But I do believe that the main pulling force for this partnership is definitely the higher administrative forces.
Do you think that police in general exist for public safety or something else?
I believe that we all grew up thinking that the police was on our side and is supposed to protect our safety. I mean, we all grow up with that concept of thinking that the people in blue uniforms are supposed to protect us. But I do believe that there should be understood that there's more nuance to policing forces. Policing isn't something that is necessarily completely positive. And it's clear that the main objective isn't safety, it's control. And this partnership with ICE, if anything, demonstrates that.
Mm-hmm. Are you in favor of abolishing ICE? And do you think that politicians should be too?
I am 100% in favor of abolishing ICE, and I think that any reputable politician should be in favor as well. It's clear that ICE is killing U.S. citizens and killing innocent people, regardless of their citizen status, and that's just ethically wrong in so many ways. And again, any reputable politician that considers themselves a humanitarian wouldn't even stand with ICE to begin with. Mm-hmm. So they definitely would believe in abolition.
And what do you think about the politicians that take more reformist sort of stances on ICE, that it can be reformed, that we can just change the training, stuff like that?
I believe that it's not as bad as being politically ignorant on the issue. At least they have some sort of stance against ICE. But I do think that that notion is very dangerous. I feel like we shouldn't just settle with reform. We should strive for abolition. We should strive to get to the issue of of this circumstance and terminate it where it stands. I think that should be the end goal.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about FAU President Adam Hasner? That he used to be a Republican House rep and also an executive at GEO Group. Were you aware of that? Or?
I was not aware of it myself. I do know that the president is a registered Republican, or has history with the Republican Party. I'm a bit new to campus, so I'm kind of still catching up with campus politics. This is actually my first semester, but I am aware of this Republican history, and I've actually been stringently against it. I found that the fact that we live on a campus, for one, that even though on a slightly unrelated note, but has been perpetuated by this political influence, I think, has led to the destruction of parts of the burrowing owl habitat. It's ironic to live on a campus that vouches for that, yet has a mascot that is a burrowing owl and has that thematic element. So I think that issue in particular kind of led me to becoming more politically aware of our current standing of the president, but I definitely feel like I need to get more in depth with that political atmosphere.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that about the owls. Is there anything else you could tell me about that issue?
I'd say, yeah, I could definitely tell you more about the issue. Well, there's been two main urban development projects that people talk about with this issue. First being the stadium that we actually have here. As we know, Boca Raton is at least should be a reservoir to protect the burrowing owls, and FAU in the past have partnered with naturalist efforts in order to preserve these species, in order to give these owls a home and to not encroach on their land as much. That's the reason why we have the natural reserve. And the stadium territory used to be part of this, but recent developments leading to the construction of the big stadium actually led to the displacement of the owls. And we're also seeing that with new urban developments. There have been rumors of parking lots being developed and new memorials that are being developed that are doing the same thing that the stadium is doing. And I think that all of this it's a case study of really the political environment that we find ourselves in on this campus.
I agree with you. Last question. The student government just passed a resolution calling on the university to rescind 287G. Do you think that the student government has enough power to force the university to concede?
I believe in the power of numbers, and as of right now, I do understand that there's a specific issue when it comes to power dynamics within the student government. I've heard about issues, specifically ones that the Sunshine Party is campaigning for the overfunding of Turning Point USA in the government space, and I believe that we're definitely capable of doing this if we funnel our support to organizations like the Sunshine Party and help them gain more funding in order to actually actually have our voices heard. I believe that there's a certain extent to which the people in power, the people at the top, have to listen to people's words, because if they don't, then that's how revolt happens. And I, at least, suspending my best assumptions, I believe that it wouldn't be in their best interest to have a revolt. So
Mike, what inspired you to come out here today?
Across the country, ICE has been behaving as a masked secret police that has not respected the rights and due processes entitled to every citizen and non-citizen in this country. And the fact that ICE is allowed on any campus whatsoever, let alone my own, is a horrific fact. And so we're here to demand that our university does not align itself with a fascist administration and fascist policy.
Why do you think the FAU PD signed the 287G?
I don't believe that much of the impetus came from the FAU PD. At the end of the day, it's not an excuse what they do, but they are following orders, and they're not the impetus for why everything happened. The reason that FAU signed the 287G was Adam Hassner became university president. He is a man who never before in his life had ever worked a day in education. His experience before being FAU president was as a Republican politician in Tallahassee as part of the Florida State House, and as a executive vice president of public policy for the GEO Group, a private prison corporation. And it is no coincidence that after a Republican politician was confirmed as president of FAU, that FAU signed an agreement allowing ICE to operate on campus.
I've also heard Adam Hassner was essential in upping the FAU's investment in Israel bonds. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, he was directly responsible for that. FAU is now one of, I believe Palm Beach County is still the single largest holder of Israeli bonds, but FAU is now in the top 5 of holders of Israeli bonds in the world. And it came in the first full semester of Adam Hassner's leadership as president of FAU. And he was very gleeful to announce that. It wasn't something he had to do.
Do you think that police in general exist for public safety or something else?
Public safety is the veneer that they use to justify their force and authority. Their role is to uphold the systems at play, and the systems at play are one of exploitation and oppression. And so as long as their role is to uphold a system of exploitation and oppression, their role is to be agents of exploitation and oppression.
So I'm assuming from what you've said that you're pro-abolish ICE?
Yes.
What do you think about...
I'm an anarchist. I support abolishing policing.
What do you think about politicians, university presidents that take the reformist view on ICE?
You don't even need it to do your evil agenda of deportation. People were being rounded up and deported even before it was founded by the HW administration. It is a needless agency that has demonstrated itself to have a culture that is incompatible with any type of liberal democratic society.
The student government just passed a resolution calling on the university to rescind 287G. Do you think that the student government has enough power to force the university to concede?
Of course not, because, all as well as student government is, at the end of the day, it is effectively a rubber stamp on administration policies. They have no real power to challenge the administration. Their only power is to spend the budget that they are allocated through student tuition.
If not, what do you think is going to take to kick ICE off campus?
Pressure. The alternative is giving up. You could either stand up and scream at the brick wall, or you could sit down and act like nothing's happening. And the latter is an unacceptable choice.
Last question, I wanted to ask you about the anarchist aspect.
This is not at all an anarchist protest. That's just my personal political opinion.
For sure, and that will come across on the podcast. What is the presence of anarchism on campus? And
I'm the co-chair of Solidarity at FAU, which is the student socialist organization. It was originally founded in 2020 by a group of anarchists who wanted a space for leftist discussion. And while anarchism still is the somewhat dominant tendency of the club, it is a Big Ten socialist argument for leftist education on campus.
Yeah. And for people who are unaware, what's an easy definition of anarchism, the politics of anarchism?
The abolishment of the state without a supposed dictatorship of the proletariat.
Without a dictatorship of the proletariat?
that is, I don't think I really have time to get into the intricacies of the theory, but it's generally it's the same abolition of the state as that is strived for by all Marxists, but generally with an attempt to avoid the authoritarian plagues that have, the authoritarian impulses that have plagued many Marxist movements in the past.
What inspired you to come out here today?
I am around the Hispanic community a lot, and I'm also part of it. I am seeing all this injustice happening to people who are within the Hispanic and outside the Hispanic community, and knowing that they have been on campus is really infuriating, especially that they've been allowed to just wander. And I just feel like it's not, like, they shouldn't really be allowed to be on campus, that sort of thing.
What do you think about the campus police partnering with ICE and the 287G agreement?
I mean, I'm infuriated to even hear that they even considered partnering in the first place, and it's just doesn't make much sense to me other than to make a statement to the students.
Do you think that police in general exist for public safety or something else?
I mean, I feel like that was an idea at some point, but I do not feel like these values are being upheld. I feel like it's being twisted and used for other purposes.
Mm-hmm. Are you in favor of abolishing ICE? And do you think that politicians should be too?
Yes, definitely. I feel like they've been abusing their power enough, and there isn't enough training for them to be doing anything ethical. I feel like the whole idea of deportation, there was sense in it at some point, but it is being abused. It's not only being used against criminals, but the common citizen who aren't really doing anything bad. They're just living their lives. People who are legal are also in danger because of the poor training for these ICE officers.
The student government just passed a resolution calling on the university to rescind the 287G agreement. Do you think that the student government has enough power to force the university to concede?
I mean, I'm not sure about if they have the power, but I think that it is well-intentioned to try to do something about this injustice.
So what inspired you to come out here today?
Well, I like to drum for the protests. I've drummed for the protests since probably the spring semester of my freshman year here at FAU.
Nice.
Yeah. So I always come out here and I drum, and they always text me to make sure I'm coming.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think about campus police partnering with ICE through the 287G agreement?
Oh, I think it's evil. It's just, straight up fascism.
Yeah.
ICE have no business here on campus whatsoever. They, it's ridiculous that our school would even do that. It makes sense given the current administration, why they would do it, but it's fucked up and they have absolutely no business.
Yeah. Do you think that police in general exist for public safety or something else?
In theory, they should be for public safety, but unfortunately, a lot of them are hired just to fulfill numbers, to create numbers that show what the people who pay them like. So it's really just a numbers game where police are trained to just, they're trained to work for the numbers so that the numbers look good, so that their bosses are happy. That's all it is.
Are you in favor of abolishing ICE, and do you think that politicians should be too?
Yeah, absolutely. This country was stolen, and it's crazy to think about the fact that they get to decide who gets to come in and who gets to not be a part of our society when we murdered the original society that was here, the original societies, original peoples that were here. We came here, we murdered them, and ever since then, we've been doing everything we can to bring them down, to build ourselves up. Us meaning the white people in charge. I'm not white, I'm just saying. The white people in charge, they've been doing nothing but colonization and extensions of colonization since then. And ICE is just another part of that. It's another part of the game.
Today's walkout seemed very successful. What do you think? But do you think it will be enough to stop ICE on campus?
Unfortunately, no. I don't think it was enough people. I think there should have been an entire lawn full of people. If this entire lawn was full of people, then maybe it would do something. But this is our second protest against ICE. I don't think this alone will do much. As you can see, like most of the students were like just standing around the protest, kind of like filming it and shaking their heads because, you know, of the culture of that is Boca. You know, it's very conservative, very rich, very privileged. You know, Boca is its own world, and people don't realize it. Like people that are born here and they stick around here, and you know they don't know anything else. They don't realize how different Boca is, and so the people that are here, they're very privileged and they're very disconnected from reality.
Do you think that the teachers' union should be playing a larger role in combating ICE on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. The union should be protecting its faculty. And when we have a healthy faculty, the faculty is what protects the students. Because the faculty are the ones that engage with the students day to day. Not people like Adam Hasner, not people in the administration. It's the people that are working here day to day that are on campus, in and out from 9 to 5. You know, they're the ones that really protect us. They're the ones that really know us. And the union, if the union was doing a better job at protecting the faculty, then the faculty would be doing a better job protecting the students.
Last question. A number of labor unions are calling for nationally coordinated strike action on May 1st. Do you think that the power of strike action combined with student walkouts and protest demonstrations could be an effective way to combat ICE?
Yeah, absolutely. It isn't until like the normal flow of things is disrupted that people wake up. Then that's when people wake up, and that's when people realize that shit's fucked up, when they don't, when their comfort is taken away from them. So as soon as we start to show that their comfort isn't fixed, that the comfort is temporary, then they're gonna get scared, then they're gonna wake up, and then they're gonna do something about it.
Thank you for talking to me. So what's your name and what inspired you to come out here today?
My name is Gabriel, and I came out here because our country's living like an unprecedented time, and I think we live in a university. We study at a university that particularly supports the current, administration. So I think it's important for every university student to go out and speak against what's going on. But here today, we're specifically like addressing the problems we have at our university as well, and we feel that what's going on at this university particularly it's kind of crazy. I mean, it is open knowledge that we're owned by a private prison group, and that should not be involved with education at all. So that, there's a lot of different reasons why, but yeah, those are the main. It's that plus ICE also. So we should not be collaborating with sending our students abroad. All they want to do is contribute to this country. So. Yeah.
When you say owned by a private prison group, are you referring to Adam Hasner being an ex-executive to GEO Group?
FAU is owned by GEO Group. We're owned. He was an ex-executive, and FAU is owned by GEO Group, and their headquarters are right over a couple blocks away from here. So it's something that it's pretty morbid, and it's because also because we used to be a military base. I think there's a lot of things interrelated with that, but yeah.
I mean, I'd like to know more about that. Nobody has talked to me about that.
Really?
You know any more details about that whole connection? Somebody was telling me about how GEO Group was trying to sponsor the stadium.
They were trying to sponsor the stadium a couple of years ago, and the students walked out, spoke against it, and they kept it from happening. But they still literally, they have a large, I don't know if they're a large donor or they own large equity in the university. Yeah. So I'm not the best one to speak about that because this is public knowledge that we know from the protests. Some people might know more in depth about it. Even the professor, I forgot her name, but she went up and she directly spoke about GEO Group, and they have a big hand in our university, which I think should have nothing to do. A for-profit prison should have nothing to do with education in a public university funded by the state government. So.
Do you think that police in general exist for public safety or something else?
No, I think they exist for public safety. I mean, that's why they first were implemented. But but I feel like they do not have to be as threatening as they are, or they tend to be. America has a history with having problems with police. Every country has some sort of police. Not all of them carry guns. And we live in a country where anyone can openly carry guns. And maybe that's why we need police officers with even bigger guns. But at the end of the day, it's like there's a bunch of problems. But in the end of the day, the police officers should not be as aggressive as they are. And they shouldn't be as involved in... They have a big possibility in killing people. They've killed a lot of people. ICE kills people. I don't know. It's a big mess. So I think the police officers should not be as violent as they are. That's my opinion.
Are you in favor of abolishing ICE, and do you think that politicians should be too?
Yeah. I mean, ICE in its current state is absolutely like, it killed 2 Americans. Like, not even talking about 2 people, right? But they happen to also be American citizens in Minnesota. Like, and the people that are joining ICE are getting like no training. And if they had more training, I don't even think that would help. Like, what are they even being trained to do? They're being trained to like get people on the ground and attack them if they feel threatened by any cause. And they can just go into people's houses without a warrant because they were given a federal warrant by the government, which isn't even legal. Like, what is that? You know, I'm okay with maybe, trying to find out if someone's here illegally and trying to make them go through due process to get them out of the country if it be necessary. But I don't think that you should just be, going after people just because you can, visually discriminate against them to get them out of the country. To me, it makes no sense. To me, it's part of a semi-authoritarian state that we're in right now, and in a full authoritarian state we might be getting into in the future. So.
The student government just passed a resolution calling the university to rescind the 287G agreement. Do you think that the student government has enough power to force the university to concede?
Probably not. Probably not. I went to there's another law that I worked a little bit to fight against, and it went under the radar, but it basically was changing the DEI policies in the university. And basically there were many different, I think it's Title IX, there were many Title IX DEI policies that, not just DEI, but Title IX policies that were protecting students, including from, discrimination because of their gender, because of race, because of sexual orientation. And basically they passed a resolution that cut that entire Title IX area by like pages and pages. And they made it very specific to basically you can only call the university to not to do something on your side if you're being discriminated against. If you are being sexually harassed. Everything else, the university does not have a hand in getting involved in, apparently. So I fought against that, and I spoke out. I got a couple people to speak out against that, and we were only able to speak out against it after they already passed resolution. You cannot give public comments before the resolution, so public comments are kind of useless. And they passed it anyway, like everyone unanimously passed it. So I think that the student government, as much as they want to say things that there's, against it, as much as they want to pass this policy, there's a lot of money involved. There's billions of dollars involved. There's interest groups involved, and who are we to say anything, really? So in terms of power, so we don't really hold any power, so I don't think we can change anything. So yeah, that's it.
Last question.
Okay.
A number of labor unions are calling for nationally coordinated strike action on May 1st. Do you think that the power of strike action combined with student walkouts and protest demonstrations could be effective against ICE?
Anything is effective, honestly, if we try. Do I think it's going to be enough to stop ICE? No. No. Again, like I said, there's billions of dollars, and a bunch of students, making a protest has rarely actually changed something.
But in combination with like unions striking and also...
The U.S. is one of the countries with the least powerful unions.
No, yeah, I know.
Like it's crazy how hard, the interests of corporations has squeezed the country, and it's hard for us to really find a way to actually fight back. I think the best way would be, a movement with millions of people on the internet and public protests. I think unions would help. I think everything helps, but really we need the general public because the unions and students alone are not enough. So, yeah.
What is your name and what inspired you to come out here today?
So my name is Karen Leader. I'm a faculty advisor for several student organizations at FAU, so I'm really here to support them.
how'd you hear about the protest?
Through those student organizations, the registered student organizations that organized it, including the Sunshine Party and the FAU College Democrats.
What do you think about the campus's police partnering with the ICE and through the 287G agreement?
So I've been speaking out about this for a while now. I admire our university police. They have always been there to protect us, to make sure this is a safe environment for learning and teaching and athletics and living and everything else. I think them partnering with ICE is a bad idea, and it wasn't required, it wasn't mandatory, and the decision was made, and it's made us all less safe.
Do you think that police in general exists for public safety or something else?
Can I say both?
What's the something else?
I think that many people join police forces out of altruism, out of wanting to be peace officers, to provide security. I think there are other forces at work that put police in the position of having to protect wealth, having to protect power, and that is damaging, especially in democracy, when they're not transparent, when they're not honest with those who pay their salaries. We see what happens with the way ICE, a federal agency purporting to do law enforcement, is acting in places like Minneapolis.
Are you in favor of abolishing ICE, and do you think that politicians should be too?
I am. We have very well-established immigration agencies that can handle customs border protection. ICE was created as part of the Department of Homeland Security. It was pretty racist at its core when it was founded, and it has not gotten any better.
What do you think about FAU President Adam Hausner?
Adam Hausner is my boss's boss's boss. I believe that he has the best interests of aspects of the university at heart. However, I do not think he's good for the university, and I think he's shown that in the year that he's been in office. It'll be a year in March that he's been in office. I don't think he's been good for the health of the university.
Last question. The student government just passed a resolution calling on the university to rescind 287G. Do you think the student government has enough power to force the university to concede?
That's really up to the Board of Trustees. The student government president sits on the Board of Trustees and is presenting that resolution, which was overwhelmingly passed. And the Board of Trustees has to decide if they think students should have a voice in what is essentially their safety and thriving. So it's not about power, it's about ethics. It's about transparency.
Thank you for talking to me.
My presence here in the role of human being, citizen of the United States, resident of Florida, and advisor to student organizations does not mean that I am using my position to disrupt the efficient functioning of the university, as I have recently been accused of doing. My goal is to help disrupt the destructive actions of university leadership that are making us all less safe. To disrupt the harm inflicted upon our community. My main point, immigration is not a, quote, national emergency. This idea was fabricated during the Biden administration by right-wing influencers and rhetoricians using language like, quote, open borders policy.
I know that's right.
Fake news. Invasion, unquote. Quote, vermin, unquote. And the most oft-repeated, illegal criminal aliens. policy, funding, and enforcement that followed when Stephen Miller ascended to the White House is based not on national security or law enforcement or public safety. It is a campaign of fear, violence, and intimidation in the service of authoritarianism. To surrender to this betrayal of fundamental values would be suicidal to the United States. And so we resist.
And right!
What I mainly want to call your attention to today is what young people are doing all over the country. They are rising to resist, standing up, speaking up, walking out. In the face of censorship, they are educating themselves, finding role models who stand for equal rights and social justice. I am here to support them. This week, FAU's student government passed an inspiringly powerful document, a resolution for campus safety and transparency. In the face of stonewalling, delays, and canceled meetings with students who were simply asking for details regarding the 287G agreement, FAU police training and ICE presence and involvement in campus activities, they moved from asking to demanding. That's right! Using governance structures and protocols, they asserted their power to demand, and I applaud them.
They work for us.
That's right! And this is a reminder to vote. In student elections happening now so they can continue to speak on your behalf. Municipal elections on March 10th, mail-in voting has begun. The midterm elections in November and every election after that. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Many of those who led that effort are here today as well, demonstrating other forms of resistance, organizing, gathering, chanting, marching, coalition building, and demanding that leadership take them seriously when they say FAU is less safe since the current administration took power almost a year ago. This activity is protected by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And so this activity is also participating in democracy. Seems obvious, right? But remember how heavily policed we are every single day to stifle this kind of activity. Are they here to protect our constitutional rights? No! Or are they here to intimidate us? Intimidate! As I said at the last ICE off-campus event almost exactly 6 months ago, this is not normal. No, it's not! So we must never forget our very long-standing resistance to the profitable school-to-prison pipeline and FAU's unpopular connection to the GEO Group. A private prison company already known for abuses, whose bottom line relies on a constant stream of, quote, detainees, is also in the immigration detention business. As I said in September, and you can quote me, follow the fucking money. So however you choose to participate, individually by voting, collectively by showing up, or running for office, affirm with me this basic truth. When I say we are, you say stronger together. That's right. We are stronger together! We are stronger together! We are stronger together!
a white citizen in the United States. The best way for me to tell you is to tell you all a story. I've been in student government for 2 years. I've been in long enough to know what student government is like before the 287G agreement and after. I knew a few people who were immigrants who were in the House. FAU is the 27th most diverse college in the United States. Our student government does not represent that. We just lost the last black person in our student government House of Representatives. What the fuck? How is this fair? What the fuck? It's the White House. Now, let me tell you all the story. I knew a girl. She was in the House with me initially. When the 287G agreement came, she left. She was the voice for our immigrants on campus. When we had a resolution last year, she was one of the 4 people who voted against the 287G agreement, who voted to condemn it and to condemn ICE on our campuses. She's gone now, and she has no intent of coming back, even though she's still on our campus, because she is afraid that she will be detained. How are we supposed to believe that this is free speech when our representatives can't even speak freely? Now, there's another girl I know. She wanted to speak. She wanted to speak to the House about how she felt impacted by the 287G agreement. When she was told that she would have to show up in person or have her name broadcasted, she could not show up for fear that she would be detained. How are our students even supposed to feel free? When I've been talking to people about this protest, about the action that they can take, how they can express their voices and their concerns, you know what they told me? I'm too afraid. I'm an immigrant. My parents are immigrants. I want to graduate. These are not signs of a healthy democracy. This is not normal. Right. Yeah. Now, you guys have a chance. The democratic process is really the only time we have a legitimate say in what goes on at our school. Our party, the Sunshine Party, voted against the 287G agreement in our student senate. They cannot shoot us down now. In our student government constitution, we are the opinion, the voice of the student body. We have made our opinion clear, and now it is up for the university to take our opinion and run with it. Do you think they will listen to us? Fuck no! No! So you guys need to make your voices heard. You guys can go on Owl Central right now, and you can vote for me for Boca Raton campus governor. I can advocate for students as I have been for these past 2 years. I was one of the 4 people that voted against this resolution when it first came around, and I will continue to vote against it when it comes to our house, when it comes to me, and when it comes to advocating to students, because we are, well, stronger together.
My name is Blaise Correa. I'm a student at FAU. I'm a member of Socialist Alternative. To everyone here who made the decision to march today, welcome. We are taking the first steps in the march towards a better future. What we have created here is no small feat, but only our continued efforts can deliver us the results that we want. Only by moving one foot after the other can we charge at the pillars of fear and indifference that stand between this university and greatness. We are at a crossroads in history. Nothing could have prepared us for the evils that we see happening on our streets day in and day out. The rich and powerful have tried to silence our voices. They've kidnapped our friends and families. They have chosen profits over our well-being. And they have shown that their only response throughout it all will be indifference. Indifference to our asking. Indifference to our begging. Now it's time to demand change. Trump and his ICE fanatics respond to one language and one language only: force. There is no more hope in pleading. We have to shut this system down. As many of you have already heard, a storm is coming on May Day. And here in Florida, we know a thing or two about storms. So let's give them one they won't soon forget. Let's learn how they play their game and beat them so bad that they can't play again. We will strike against Trump. We will strike against ICE. We will strike against the cruel 287G agreement. We will strike for our families. We will strike for our fellow students. We will strike for our very futures. And in doing so, we will build a unity on this campus that this campus has never seen before. By striking, we will starve the system that treats us like we are disposable and show everyone that we are anything but. Achieving our goals won't be easy, but we are fresh out of options and fresh out of time. The only option left is struggle. Struggle alongside one another, because locked in arms, it will take more than the power they have to break our will. The time for talking is over. The time for actionless condemnation is over. Our administration has told us with a straight face what they are willing to sacrifice. Nothing! They have shook the very hands that hold our heads underwater and told us to give them our last remaining breaths. It's time to abandon dependency. If our sights are true and we steel our resolve in the face of terror, our efforts will not be in vain. The world is ours for the taking, and together we can start building it in our image, not Donald Trump's. This campus is our starting ground, and if we are to stand any chance, we need solidarity and escalation. This movement begins here, but it does not end here. We are surrounded by those who share our struggle. FAU is not alone. We call on those at other schools to join us. We call on those in other cities to fight with us. We call on unions to organize with us. We call on those across our injured nation to rise up with us and fight for those ideals that no amount of authoritarianism can ever take away. So say it with me. End the system, end the hate, organize and demonstrate. End the system, end the hate, organize and demonstrate. End the system, end the hate, organize and demonstrate. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? My name is Mark and I'm a member of Socialist Alternative. I think we made an important first step today. But a single day of protest by itself is not enough. Power does not concede because we held one rally. If we want real change, we need more than symbolic action. We need escalation. Escalation means thinking beyond isolated days of protest and towards sustained, growing pressure. It means each action we take is not an endpoint, but a stepping stone. Today's walkout must lead to coordinated actions which build to something that disrupts business as usual. That's what the Students Rise Up campaign is about. We are not organizing events for events' sake. We're building a movement. First, we need a clear plan of escalation. That means setting concrete goals that everyone can orient towards. It means organizing meetings after every action to assess what worked, what didn't, and how we can bring more people in the next time. It means turning participants into organizers. Second, we need to spread the movement beyond one campus. If only one school walks out, it's easy to ignore. A dozen walk out, it becomes a headline. If hundreds of schools coordinate, it becomes a crisis. If thousands of high schools, colleges, and universities act together on the same day across the country, it becomes a demonstration of real power. We should be reaching out to students at each campus throughout South Florida. We should be connecting with high schools who are facing similar attacks. We should be talking to graduate student workers and faculty union members. Every school that joins us strengthens us. Isolation, it weakens us. Coordination makes us powerful. And that brings me to my third point, national coordination. The attacks we are facing are not local, they're national. Our opponents are coordinated, so our response must be coordinated too. When students across the country walk out on the same day with shared demands and a shared strategy, we stop being scattered protests and start becoming a national movement. History shows us what that can look like. On May 1st of 2006, millions of immigrants and their allies participated in what became known as the Day Without Immigrants. Workers walked off the job. Students walked out of schools. Businesses closed. Cities felt the absence of immigrant labor in real, tangible ways. It wasn't just a protest. It was a demonstration of collective power. It showed what society looks like when people who actually work to make shit function decide to take collective action. That is the scale we should be preparing for. We're not there yet, but we can get there. Every conversation we have, every flyer that we hand out, every classroom announcement that we make, and every friend that we bring to a meeting, that's how we build towards the type of mass action that is necessary. We are laying the groundwork for something much bigger than a single afternoon rally. And we have a target. It's May Day. May 1st is International Workers' Day. It's a historic day of working class resistance and international solidarity. Around the world, workers take action on May Day to demand dignity, justice, and demonstrate power. If we're serious about escalation, May Day should be our target. Between now and May 1st, our task is to grow across campuses, to grow into high schools, to grow into workplaces, and to grow into communities. We should be preparing the political and organizational groundwork for the biggest possible action on May Day. Imagine what it would mean if on May 1st, students across the country protested together, if graduate student workers and faculty stood with us, if sections of organized labor joined in solidarity. That's not a fantasy. It's what Students Rise Up is organizing towards. No one else is going to build it for us. Movements don't grow automatically. They grow because ordinary people decide to take responsibility. They grow because students decide to organize their classmates. They grow because people who attend one protest attend the next meeting. They grow because we transform frustration into structure and anger into action. So if you walked out today, that's powerful. But don't let today be the end of your involvement. Let it be the beginning. If you believe that we need a plan beyond a single day of protest, if you believe that we need to spread to other schools, if you believe we need national coordination, if you believe May Day should be our target, then help us build Students Rise Up. Come to our coalition meeting on Friday at 5:30 in the College of Education building. That's where we're going to plan next steps. That's where we're going to turn ideas into strategy. And that's where we organize our next escalation. The future of this movement depends on what we do next. We'll see you at Friday at 5:30.
Okay, so I'm back. I just wanted to provide some context and some commentary and some things that I researched afterwards. A few people said that the FAU PD didn't really hold the cards to turn down signing the 287G agreement because of pressure from above, right? I agree with the part about there being pressure, but the 287G agreement is a voluntary, what's called Memorandum of Understanding, that police departments choose to sign. Here's a few quotes from an article I'll link to in the show notes. Are 287G agreements legal? And does every local and state law enforcement agency have to join them? The federal government's delegation of these powers to local agencies is legal, according to govfacts.org. However, not all police departments are required to join the program. During a recent court case, Florida state officials acknowledged that municipalities are not legally mandated to enter 287G agreements. So another question. If the law doesn't require local or state agencies to enter 287G agreements, why are they doing so? Here's a quote. Fear of being punished by the federal government, says Craig Burnett, a professor and chair of political science at FAU. Additionally, some police departments that join the 287G agreement are then eligible to receive federal funding. Quote, participation in the 287G program is often associated with federal funding and performance bonuses, which may not be available to non-participating departments, the Immigrant Legal Resource Center website states. Okay, so there's pressure from on high, but the individual police departments get to choose, at the end of the day. So, what are the avenues to pressure the police department specifically? Not just the president of the university on these decision makers, So, I understand that part for sure. But I just wanted to throw that in there. Also, I wanted to talk about Karen Leader for a second, who I interviewed and we heard a speech from, who is a professor at FAU historically. And she is, as far as I'm aware from what I learned yesterday, she's on leave right now, placed on leave by FAU President Adam Hasner. What's his name? Yeah, Adam Hasner. And for her comments, really some retweets that she did pertaining to Charlie Kirk around the time after his murder, who Charlie Kirk is a political commentator on the right, and he said he himself is a frequent guest to universities across the country, or he was, and he got famous for doing YouTube videos showing him in highly edited videos debating with university and college students about different political topics, and so he's famous for that. And anyway, so he has a long record of saying some very how should I say it, racist and abhorrent and politically, damaging or culturally damaging in his program and his organizations like Turning Point USA and others. And so she retweeted something about that. Free speech, mind you. You should be able to tweet almost anything really, without facing employment repercussions. But since Adam Hasner, who was an ex-executive of GEO Group, and the university board at large is controlled by special interest dudes and dudettes. What was I saying? So she got, she faced repercussions for that, and also as well after her tweets, it was retweeted by some people in conservative media spaces, and it kind of blew up, and she got doxxed. People basically put all her information out there on the web, and also from what I read, she was her life was threatened by somebody online. So anyway, that's some backstory and context to her situation, and we talked to her, and anyway, what else did I want to talk about? I'll provide links to to the article I read earlier, and then things about current leader and GEO Group, who I'm about to talk about. And okay, so last thing, because I'm sick and I don't have much to say. There's more to say, obviously, and there's more to do, and that's what Mark, he's a member of Socialist Alternative. That's what he was saying, and that's what Student Rise Up is organizing as of Friday, which I'm releasing this on Friday. So today at 5:30 p.m. you will be able to participate in a meeting trying to organize escalating actions against FAU's connection with the 287G and ICE. It can maybe turn into an example of how to get ICE off campuses in general, and if it can be done in FAU, basically headed by ex-executives of GEO Group, then it can be done almost anywhere. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this turns into, and participating, as much as I could. And so I hope I covered this well. Oh, whoa. Wait, hold up. Okay, but let me talk about FAU's connection to GEO Group for a second. One student mentioned that FAU is owned by GEO Group. That's what he said, which I had to fact check real quick. Now I agree with the sentiment, but it's not technically true, being that FAU is a public university. But GEO Group and FAU have had many connections going back 2 decades now. Many executives at the company have sat on the board of governors at the university. We know that the same is true of the current president, Adam Hasner. Also, around 2011, which this student was telling me as well, GEO Group tried to sponsor the football stadium of the university, but students organized to shut it down. So students right now are in a similar, yet more dangerous battle versus forces like GEO Group and a repressive state. So I just wanted to get that background on the GEO Group connection, which it's a company based in Boca Raton, the same as FAU. Their main buildings are very close to one another. So, you can start putting pieces together, and then, this is a long history, and I think one of the last things that I'll say, I was going to attempt to talk about the school to prison pipeline mentioned by Karen Leader, which is very important to learn about and focus on with an example of FAU as well, because this is not something new. The school to prison pipeline, this is a nationwide problem, and it's a decades-long problem, and that could be an episode all to itself. So if you're interested, look up school to prison pipeline. Topic for another day. Schools really are made by the students and the teachers, okay? Now, other faculty are needed because, buildings require different roles of workers, so everybody should be included. But in the public university and private university systems, okay, the power structure is fundamentally undemocratic. The student government representative only holds one of more than 10 seats in the board of governors of the public university, which is the body that calls the shots, basically, that runs the university. They are historically, in the last 2 decades, I don't know much before that. I was just reading a few articles. They are historically run by businessmen, and a lot of them head executives of local companies like GEO Group, executives of GEO Group. Adam Hasner, he doesn't have a history in education. You know, he has a history in business and a very, you know, one of the most morally corrupt lines of business there is. You know, so you know it's obvious that he would support 287G, obviously, but because I mean, you start locking up students, and then you got them to pay at the university level, so you're making bank on that level. Then you lock them up and put them in your other business, which is the private prison, and you make money off of the human body that way as well. So it's double dipping for these people like Adam Hasner. They don't see the school business as they see the school as a business. And I fundamentally disagree with that, and I think that I think that I'm not gonna put the words into the students' mouths, but I think they agree with that, or a lot of them do. So let's see what happens. Friday to 5:30 is gonna be an escalation meeting. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. If you're listening, this is the Ant. You can follow on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It is a podcast, but I do write as well. So the links are in the show notes, and see you.
Demasiadas noches de travesura. Vivo rápido, no tengo cura. Esto es pa' que quede lo que yo hago. Demasiadas noches de travesura. Vivo rápido, no tengo cura. Esto es pa' que quede lo que yo hago. Demasiadas noches de travesura.